History's most dangerous lie is that geniuses die naturally. Alan Turing, the man who saved the world, then was quietly destroyed by it. This is not a conspiracy story. This is a timeline of sanctioned cruelty that still makes people uncomfortable. A brain that didn't fit, born in London. Since childhood, Turing was socially awkward, obsessively curious, intellectually unmatched. Teachers called him slow, odd, unteachable. They were catastrophically wrong. 1936, he invents the future. At the age of 24, Alan Turing publishes a paper that creates the concept of a computer, not a machine, a theory of thinking machines. This becomes the foundation of artificial intelligence and modern computing, the digital world you are using right now. At this point, no one understands what he's done. In World War II, Turing joins Britain's code-breaking unit at Bletchley Park. He builds machines that crack Nazi Enigma codes. What this achieves? Ends the war 2 to 4 years earlier, saves an estimated 14 million lives, prevents further genocide, and here's the rule: he is never allowed to speak about it. Not during the war, not after. Silence is mandatory. The betrayal begins in 1945. After the war, no public recognition, no honors at first. His work remains classified. The country he saved does not protect him. Instead, it watches him. The state turns on him. In 1952, Turing reports a burglary. Police investigate. They discover he is gay. Homosexuality is illegal. Let this sink in. The man who helped defeat fascism is prosecuted by the democracy he saved. Turing is convicted of gross indecency. The punishment options: prison, chemical castration. He chooses the injections. What they do: destroy libido, alter body chemistry, cause depression, cause cognitive changes. This is not treatment. This is state-approved psychological destruction. 1953. Turing loses his security clearance, his ability to work on classified research, his professional future. He is isolated, monitored, humiliated. The world's greatest mind is reduced to a liability. Turing was found dead in 1954. Cause recorded: cyanide poisoning. An apple is found beside his bed. Official ruling: suicide. But here's why people still question it. He was actively planning future work. Friends noted fluctuating but hopeful moods. Cyanide was used in his lab work. No suicide note was found. The apple was never tested for poison. The most cruel irony: Apple, the company, later becomes the symbol of modern computing. Their logo? A bitten apple. Coincidence? Maybe. But history has a way of leaving scars and symbols. After death. Too little, too late. Decades later, government apologizes. Turing is pardoned. Statues are built. Films are made. But here's the part that hurts. Apologies don't resurrect the dead. Pardons don't erase suffering. Do you believe Alan Turing chose death, or was he pushed into it slowly and legally? We like to believe that the world is fair in the end. That truth is eventually rewarded. That genius, goodness, and sacrifice are noticed. If not immediately, then at least eventually. Alan Turing's life shatters that comfort, because the most terrifying thing about his story is not how much he suffered, it's how useful his suffering was. He gave the world a future it did not yet deserve. He shortened a war that was consuming humanity. He saved millions of people he would never meet, people who would never know his name. And when the danger passed, when his mind was no longer urgently needed, the world did something quietly unforgivable. It turned on him. Not with rage, not with violence, but with paperwork, with laws, with polite sentences that sounded reasonable on paper and were devastating in practice. They didn't kill Alan Turing in a dark alley. They didn't sentence him to death in a courtroom. They simply told him, "You may continue to live, but not as yourself." They altered his body. They stripped his purpose. They isolated his mind. And then they watched. What breaks the heart isn't that he died young. What breaks the heart is that he was still curious, still thinking, still imagining, still planning future work. He trusted the system that used him. He believed logic would protect him. He believed contribution would matter. He believed saving lives would buy him humanity. It didn't. And that should unsettle you. Not because the past was cruel, but because the mechanisms that destroyed him are still perfectly intact. They just wear better language now. So when we say never again, what we really mean is never again, unless it's convenient. The world that rejected him now lives inside his ideas. Every time you unlock your phone, every time an algorithm predicts your thoughts, every time artificial intelligence learns, adapts, and evolves, you are touching the afterlife of a man who was never allowed to live fully. Alan Turing didn't just help end a war. He unknowingly designed the future, a future that finally speaks his name with reverence, but far too late for him to hear it. Broken. The world was, and if his story leaves you unsettled, if it makes your chest ache, if it makes you angry, good. That discomfort is his final message to us. Progress means nothing if it costs humanity. Remember him not just as a genius, but as a warning. Because history doesn't just repeat itself, it waits to see if we've learned. Beautiful symmetry. We named buildings after him. We put his face on currency. We called him a pioneer of artificial intelligence. And then we logged off. So yes, in a way, Alan Turing won. Every time we talk about innovation, every time we praise genius, as long as it behaves, every time we say things are better now and hope history isn't listening. Alan Turing didn't live to see acceptance, but acceptance eventually found his work. Late, polite, and extremely proud of itself. So let's call it a happy ending. The future belongs to his ideas, and the past belongs to our excuses. Smile. The algorithm is watching.